What's up, my dear humans? How are you? Welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Yesterday was a very eventful day because after I did my video, I know that Mr. Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show had been teasing that someone from the Pentagon was going to come forward on his show. And I had no idea who it was, but we did get like a preview. Matt Ford says it was doxing. I do agree that it was kind of doxing from the journalist at the New York Post. That's what I want to talk about today because let's just first take a look at this whistleblower. Her name is Sarah Gamm. Let's take a look at her resume. She is at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. She's also at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI. She worked with the UAP Task Force. She's currently a nuclear campaign analyst for SAIC. And she's also a psychic medium. That last part is what this journalist from the New York Post used to smear her. And this is exactly what I want to talk about today. But first, let's look at a clip where Miss Gamm talks about the potential that some of these entities are or may be malevolent. Or maybe they don't know what malevolence or benevolence is. So that makes them dangerous, just like a lion doesn't know what good or bad is, but if you go close to it, it will bite you and kill you and eat you. Here it is.
The UK has been documenting UAPs for a very long time, back when they were called UFOs.
Eve Clancy, has anything she's learned about UAP indicate that there's a dark aspect to NHI? As suggested by folks like Lue Elizondo.
Yeah, absolutely. So not everything's friendly out there. I don't know which hat you want me to put on, the science hat or the spiritual hat. But for both of those hats, yes, there's definitely malevolent things out there and entities, and then some that also don't comprehend emotions, and so they don't understand that they're malevolent because they're just like, I don't know, robots, drones. But yes.
Yeah, so that part where she talks about her two hats, I think that's very important to highlight here because she also made some really interesting and I'm guessing those are talking points from any whistleblower that comes forward. They have like a prime directive to say, this is non-human intelligence. This is, the usual, just like Rush, just like Tim Gallaudet, now her.
Were there things that you saw that were clearly not from here? Maybe from our neighbors somewhere else?
Yes, absolutely. There was a few times when, no doubt in my mind, that's not terrestrial, that's not from Earth, that's not an adversary craft. The way things maneuvered, G-forces experienced, disappear, reappear, pop back up. Sometimes it was, and I know I'm not saying anything new, but it's like it would like play. And, pilots would lose track of something, and it's no doubt in your mind, not from Earth.
I'm kind of happy that a woman came forward finally. It's been all just guys, and I always wondered if there was a woman or women inside the UAPTF, and now that she came forward, I'm glad that she decided to do it. But aside from those talking points, which are obviously needed from people in her position, so folks that are like not normally following this story, they are the ones that are most impacted by these talking points and these statements. But the other statement about her credentials and about her remote viewing capabilities and psychic capabilities, this is where debunkers and detractors think that they have a field day when they talk about these people. And I don't think that they're gonna end up in the right side of history, because they're mocking it right now, because they obviously do not or have not had any weird or anomalous experiences. But there's historical proof that this is real. When I talk about human potential, I don't mean because some people in some comments that I've gotten, they think that I'm naive or that I'm an idiot because I talk about human potential, but they're thinking that I mean as in the X-Men or as in Professor X or Jean Grey, something like that. It's not like that. We all have the same potential for these capabilities. We haven't honed them in hundreds of years due to the control systems such as religion or the Industrial Revolution or political party systems, and most of all, the materialistic reductionist tradition. When I say materialistic, I don't mean like you like to go shopping or you like money or you like cars. That's part of it, yeah. But materialistic as in you believe that you are confined within the 3D world, and you believe that everything is made of matter. That's what I mean when I say materialistic philosophy or tradition. The other part of it is the idealistic tradition, which believes that it's all consciousness. I don't think either one of them is real or true. I think there's like a middle ground or middle point where both of them can coexist. One of the proof of this type of abilities that we possess, coincidentally, was just revealed by a PhD in microbiology, Rupert Sheldrake. Mr. Rupert Sheldrake is educated in Cambridge. He also has ties to Harvard University. He's always been regarded as one of the most heretical kind of authors and scientists. I gotta give major kudos to Jesse Michels from American Alchemist, because he just had a long conversation with Mr. Rupert Sheldrake about all of these things. But one specific aspect of this was an experiment that he conducted right after September 11th. He was in New York City when that happened. And it is no coincidence that Jesse Michels dropped this episode on September 11th, yesterday. I had time to watch it, and this was the thing that stood out to me the most, because it is proof that we do have some type of skill or ability that we need to explore. And Jesse says it very well and very articulately in this conversation, where he talks about how much money some programs for either technology or other stuff or science that is more materialistic in nature get, like the Hadron Collider he mentions that has like a $15 billion dollar funding, and yet, for example, the research at SRI was only in the millions. And all of this kind of research of either parapsychology or remote viewing or all of this kind of stuff, Jesse talks about how pretty much every scientist that gets into this comes out saying there is something here. They're not like oh, I found nothing. And I think that's very important. And this clip about this experiment right after September 11th is very revealing of what type of skills we possess that we haven't really exploited yet. And I still believe wholeheartedly that the control powers are not allowing us to explore these abilities because of what I've told you before. Imagine that we all have precognition and we can control it. That would be a major blow to all the control systems because they wouldn't have control over us anymore. So here's a clip of Mr. Rupert Sheldrake.
Lots of people have precognitive dreams. You dream of something a day or two. It's usually only a few days before it happens. But precognitive dreams are much more common than most people think, partly because we forget most of our dreams. And as soon as you start writing your dreams down and remembering them, then I've done it myself. You start noticing precognitive aspects to these dreams. It's happening all the time. Sometimes more spectacularly than others. When the 9/11 World Trade Center disaster occurred in New York, it occurred to me that this would be a fantastic research opportunity. So within 3 days, I had posters up in Washington Square, and I ran a series of ads in the Village Voice asking, did you dream of the World Trade Center? And I have a collection of more than 75 dreams that people sent me.
Wow.
They fell into three main categories. One were of dreams that people were on planes that were flying into skyscrapers, really scary dreams of, not necessarily the World Trade Center, some were the Empire State Building, some were the Sears Tower. They weren't necessarily in New York, but they were flying into towers. The second category were people trapped in blazing buildings, the panic of being trapped in a skyscraper that's on fire. And the third category were walking down city streets with an eerie sense of doom and vast clouds of dust rolling down the street. All of these things, of course, happened, and all of them were widely seen on TV. So I think what people were actually dreaming in advance was the dreaming of their actual own experience of seeing these images on TV or of hearing about the disaster after it happened.
It's like a pre-memory.
A pre-memory.
Yeah.
And some people who do research in this area, in psychic research, suggest that things like this could be called pre-call as opposed to recall.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a story of a resident artist in one of the towers, actually, because they had some artistry program, and he did a rendition of him as a Tuskegee airman with like old, XP-40 fighter jets all flying into him. And this was 12 days before 9/11. I have to look up his name, but it's just wild. Like, you can't attribute that to chance, I think.
It's this kind of thing. And then there were some people who just didn't go into work that day because they had premonitions.
They had a weird feeling.
There was a whole article about it in the Washington Post. I mean, this wasn't just some obscure psychic researcher. There was an article called Lucky to Be Alive in the Washington Post that actually told the stories of people who hadn't gone to work that day for a variety of reasons.
So strange.
So this is where I do the usual tie-in to scientists like Isaac Bentov, Jacobo Greenberg, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who studied this and found some other type of evidence besides this, that we do have some type of abilities with our minds. And I can only hope that we can find, first of all, a way to no longer attach that stigma to these topics, like the person who doxed and smeared Miss Sarah Gamm, or others who constantly question these abilities: remote viewing, telepathy, telekinesis, precognition. These are the skills that we possess. All of us do. But the ones who are more aligned with the materialistic paradigm don't believe in them. And as long as they don't believe in them, they're never gonna find out what they're capable of. People who do, and who study them, and who read up on all of the material available to them, such as Rupert Sheldrake's work, or Jacobo Greenberg's work, or, those are the ones who are going to eventually discover that, yes, these abilities exist, and they can be honed, but they're not like magic like that. It's a whole process. It's not easy. And people from from India and from the Buddhist traditions, they have those skills more advanced than us because they have been learning them since they were children. They meditate constantly. They do exercise constantly. They treat other animals and other human beings with respect and reverence. That's part of it too. And the fact that these people call it woo-woo and all that stuff is not helping the case at all. We need to learn how to communicate this differently, with less judgment and no more stigma, so we can learn how to use these skills for the benefit of others. Not us. Others. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you like what I talked about today, but I have one last clip that is a message from Mr. Lue Elizondo for every single person on either side of the conversation where there's like infighting. A message from him to all of you who keep doxing each other and attacking each other. Here's a message from Mr. Lue Elizondo.
It's completely unacceptable. Let me make this perfectly clear. At no time is it ever acceptable to threaten somebody. I don't care what side of the conversation you're on. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care how much you think the other side is damaging disclosure or the opposite. There is no time that is ever, in my opinion, is it appropriate to threaten someone or their family, or to expose them or dox them, or interfere with their privacy and their right to safety and security. That's unacceptable. Anybody who does that is not on team disclosure. We don't want you. So I just want to make that clear as well, because he was attacked and his family was threatened. And if that's the case, then that's terrible, because I personally know what that feels like, and I would never wish that on anybody.
So there you have it, folks. Lue is not being specific about who he's talking about, but I'm pretty sure every person who has partaken in this kind of activity can get the message. Lue is not with you. I think Lue still needs to answer some specific questions about this, because there is a little bit of evidence that suggests there are some people he doesn't like that are not necessarily bad people, and I don't understand why. I would like some clarity on that. I hope we get it someday. But this is the message. Let me know what you think about this experiment from Mr. Rupert Sheldrake. I'm gonna leave a link in the description of the Good Trouble Show's interview with Miss Sarah Gamm, and I'm gonna leave that brilliant episode from Jesse Michels with Mr. Rupert Sheldrake. Those are must see, both of them. And I am also going to leave the Vinnie Adams episode on the description with Lue Elizondo, which dropped on September 11th also. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the content you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment, please comment. I love your comments. You guys do wonderful in them. I've gotten some brilliant tips from them already that I've used in some of these videos, so thank you. And most of all, please share in other platforms. YouTube loves that, and it helps the channel keep growing faster, and we have been growing faster by the minute. So I have you to thank for that. Without further ado, I'll leave you guys until tomorrow's video. Bye bye.